That night, the room was dark, not silent but still, like velvet gently falling over everything. My mom lay there in bed motionless. No shifting blankets, no cough, just her soft, raspy breathing, like the wind slipping through an old cracked window. I thought she was just resting the way she had lately lightly. But then, it happened. She stopped breathing, no sound, no struggle, just a pause, 5 seconds, maybe 6, then suddenly a gasp, like someone surfacing from underwater. She didn't notice, but I did, and something inside me whispered, "Is this happening every night, just because she sleeps on her back?" That's when I realized, sleep, the one place we expect to feel safe, can sometimes become the very thing that betrays us. And I knew I couldn't wait for another night to wonder. For as long as I can remember, my mom had always slept on her back. She said it felt proper neat, like resting the whole body evenly, she'd tell me with a smile. And I believed her. Every night she'd fold her blanket just right, adjust the pillow to support her head, lie down flat hands on her stomach like in an old photograph. It looked peaceful, almost ceremonial, but something began to change. She started waking up more often, not from noise, not from dreams, but from a strange heaviness in her chest. One morning she whispered to me, "I feel like someone's pressing on me when I sleep, like I'm lying under a wet blanket." I asked her if it hurt. She shook her head. "No, not pain, just like breathing takes more work." We checked everything, the mattress, the pillow, even took her to the doctor just in case. They said her lungs were fine, heart was okay, oxygen levels normal. Still, she kept waking up. Short breaths, a tight feeling across her ribs, and always that same phrase, "It only happens when I sleep on my back." It was then I began to wonder, what if it wasn't sickness? What if it was the posture itself? The way her body's slower now, older, no longer relaxed the way it once did. What if the very position that once brought comfort was now quietly taking rest away? One night I stood quietly at her doorway. The lamp was dim, the room still, but I could see it clearly. My mom lying on her back, chest rising too fast for someone at rest. She wasn't gasping, she wasn't sick, but she wasn't breathing peacefully either. It looked effortful, like her body was working harder than it should. She didn't complain, didn't call for help. She just lay there, eyes closed, brow slightly furrowed, as if even in sleep something inside her refused to let go. I watched her for a while, and then I realized something. Her chin was tilted too far up, her mouth slightly open, her shoulders pinned flat, her whole chest stretched but stiff. And that's when it hit me. When we're young, lying on our back might feel restful, but with age, the muscles around our chest grow weaker. Our diaphragm tightens. Our spine loses some of its natural curve. Lying flat isn't neutral anymore. It becomes a quiet pressure, especially for someone over 70. The back position can compress the lungs, pull down the jaw, narrow the airway, and little by little steal the breath. I thought back to all the mornings she'd told me, "I feel tired," like sleep didn't help, and suddenly I saw why. She wasn't just sleeping badly, she was fighting, all night long, fighting gravity, fighting her own anatomy, fighting to rest while her body quietly resisted. And yet, she didn't know. She thought it was age, she thought it was normal. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just aging. This was a problem that could be changed if we dared to look closer. The next morning, I gently asked her mom, "Do you ever feel short of breath when lying on your back?" She looked at me surprised, then shrugged as if brushing it off. "Maybe a little, but I've always slept that way." I nodded and said nothing more. Because I've learned we don't change lifelong habits with logic. Not at first. For her, sleeping on her back wasn't just a position. It was comfort. It was routine. It was the only way she'd known for nearly 70 years. Even when she woke up in the middle of the night, holding her chest. Even when her shoulders ached from lying still too long. She'd simply sigh and say, "It's just part of getting older." And I understood. Sometimes familiarity feels safer than trying something new. Even if it hurts, even if it leaves us tired every morning. I offered her a pillow to raise her head just a bit. She smiled politely, used it for one night, then quietly pushed it aside the next. I placed a cushion under her knees, hoping it might ease the tension. She said, "It's too much trouble," then folded it away without a word. It wasn't stubbornness, it was fear, disguised as habit. Fear of not sleeping at all if she tried something unfamiliar. Fear that a new position might make things worse. Fear that at her age, change is no longer worth it. And I didn't blame her. Because when the body has lived through wars, through losses, through decades of learning how to survive, sometimes it doesn't want to relearn how to sleep. But I also knew, deep down she wanted rest, real rest, not just stillness in the dark. And if I could find one small thing, just one gentle change she could trust, maybe she'd let herself try again. One evening, while folding her blanket, I noticed something. She'd placed her hand beneath her lower back, as if trying to support it. A habit she never spoke of. But her body had already started searching for relief. That small gesture gave me an idea. I remembered a conversation with a friend about how posture changes with age. How sometimes the simplest shift can bring back ease to the body. So that night, I waited until she was ready for bed. And instead of offering a fancy solution, I sat beside her quietly and said, "Mom, what if tonight we try turning just a little to the side, not all the way, just a soft angle?" She looked uncertain, but she trusted my voice more than my words. So we folded a small towel not too thick and gently placed it under her right shoulder, then added a pillow behind her back just to keep her from rolling flat again. She didn't say much, just laid down slowly and let out a longer breath than usual. That night, she didn't wake up at 2 a.m., and the next morning she said quietly over tea, "Last night felt easier. I didn't feel like I had to fight. I didn't cheer, didn't celebrate, just smiled and said, 'Let's try it again tonight.'" Over the next few nights, we kept adjusting gently, a small cushion behind her knees, a softer pillow under her head, a slight tilt to the left. And with each shift, her breath became slower, her movements quieter, her sleep deeper. No medicine, no machines, just gravity, rearranged with care. And that's when I understood. Sometimes sleep doesn't return with force. It returns when the body feels safe, when the breath isn't trapped, when the position isn't perfect but kind, and all it took was noticing. That evening, we didn't change everything. We just began with 3 small steps. Step 1, a new sleeping posture. We gently helped her lie on her side, left side first, placing a soft pillow behind her back so she wouldn't roll flat again in her sleep. Not too forced, just enough to let her body feel guided, safe. Step 2, a towel beneath her knees. It may sound small, but that little lift, it took pressure off her lower back, helped her belly feel softer, helped her breath feel slower, and she said, "It's like my body isn't sinking anymore, it's being held." Step 3, a new bedtime rhythm. Instead of lying down right after washing her face, we dimmed the lights, played soft rain sounds, and sat together for a few minutes just sipping warm tea. No rush, no phone, no television noise lingering in the room. Only the sound of breath and the quiet hum of the night preparing to rest. That first night she still woke up once around 3 a.m., but only for a moment. No gasping, no sitting up to catch her breath. Just a soft turn and back into sleep. The next night she slept 5 hours straight, then 6. And by the end of the week, she said something I hadn't heard in years. I didn't even realize I fell asleep last night. I just drifted. We didn't cure anything. We didn't buy a special bed. We just listened to the small signals her body had been whispering all along. Because rest doesn't come from doing more. It comes from removing what gets in the way. And that's what we did, one small step at a time. It started with just one night. One night where she slept 6 hours without waking, without turning, without gasping for breath. The next morning, she didn't say anything at first. She just stood by the kitchen window, watching the trees move gently in the early sun. And then she said quietly, "I feel like my chest isn't holding something heavy anymore." It wasn't just sleep she was regaining, it was her clarity, her calm, her sense of being safe inside her own body again. That day she folded the laundry without needing to sit down halfway. She watered her plants with a hum on her lips, a song I hadn't heard since I was a child. And for the first time in weeks, she remembered the name of her old neighbor, the one who used to bring over boiled peanuts every spring. Her eyes were sharper, her voice steadier, and when she laughed, it wasn't forced, it was free. All from just a few nights of real sleep. 6 hours when they are uninterrupted, when the body isn't struggling in the dark, can feel like a lifetime returning. We think sleep is just about energy, but for someone over 70, rest is the difference between remembering and forgetting, between fear and peace, between being alive and feeling truly present. And that's what 6 quiet hours gave my mother back her place in the day. For most of my life, it was my mother who reminded me to go to bed on time, to turn off the lights, to rest my eyes. She was the rhythm keeper of our household, soft but steady, the one who made sure everyone else could sleep well. But as time passed, those roles slowly shifted. I became the one who tiptoed into her room at night, tucking in the corners of her blanket, checking that her pillow was soft, that the room was quiet enough. At first, I thought I was teaching her something new, that I was guiding her. But the more we walked this journey together, the more I realized she was still mentoring me in gentleness, in patience, in how she accepted change without fear, how she trusted me even when I asked her to give up things she once believed in, like sleeping on her back or drinking sweet milk before bed. She never fought, she listened, she adjusted, not because she was weak, but because she had strength enough to let go. That is what real wisdom looks like. And every night as I saw her quietly embrace new habits as she folded the blanket, wrote her small gratitude note, and turned off the light without worry, I saw a new kind of teacher in her, not the kind who stands tall and instructs, but the kind who whispers this too: we can try. She didn't just teach me about sleep. She showed me how to care, not with urgency, but with presence. And in that quiet passing of roles, mother to daughter, teacher to student, then back again, we both grew a little softer, and sleep, that fragile thing we both feared might never return, became once again a shared gift. If you've stayed with me this far, perhaps you too have someone you love who wakes up in the middle of the night, not from nightmares but from something quieter. A shift in breath, a pinch in the shoulder, a silence that feels uneasy. Or maybe it's you, lying there at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep feels further away than it used to. you are not alone. And it may not take a new mattress or new medicine or even a whole new life. Sometimes the path to rest begins with noticing just one small thing, like how you lie down each night. If your breath feels shallow when you sleep on your back, if your shoulders feel tense when you wake, try something simple tonight. Lie on your side, place a soft towel beneath your arm, tuck a pillow behind your back. Let your body be held gently, and if that helps even just a little, come back here. Leave a small note in the comments. You don't have to write much. Just one line is enough. I slept better. Or I tried it and it helped. Because someone else just like you may read that line one quiet night and decide to try too. That's how healing travels, not in big leaps but in whispers, shared from one sleepless heart to another. May tonight be the night your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, your sleep returns. And if it does know this, you did that with one small change and a lot of quiet courage. Soft piano fades in. A single handwritten sentence appears on screen. Rest doesn't ask for effort, just a gentle invitation. Sleep well tonight. You've earned it.